everybody. We'll give everybody just a minute to join. Have some attendees joining on. We won't wait long though before we get started. All right, I see that number kind of getting to a steady place. So we can go ahead and jump in. Okay, thank you everybody. I appreciate you guys joining today's session and taking the time out of your day. I am very excited, honestly, to be presenting our newly released TrackTik integration and be talking about our partnership with TrackForce. So my name is Erin Bullard. I am the Director of Partner Relations here at Immix. I manage our technology and integration partners, so it's been a pleasure working with the TrackForce team. And I just want to take care of some quick housekeeping before we get started. Please feel free to submit some questions as we go. You should see that in probably the right-hand section of your screen. We will try and answer what we can in the interim if it makes sense. Otherwise, we will save that for the very end. If there's anything that we don't get to, we will, of course, respond to that via email. Feel free to chat as we go along. We do have some poll questions, some things that we will be asking for some responses from you. So if there are some of those that, again, we really would like your participation and would appreciate that. We also have a resource available for you. So there is a handout with the solution brief. So that should be available for you to download. And again, really appreciate you guys joining today's session. So a quick agenda of what we're going to cover. We'll do some quick introductions of who is on the call from our side, and then we will go through the integration, some of the benefits, the workflow of what we have put into place. And then really my goal is for you guys to see what it looks like and to be able to do a demo both from the Immix side as well as the TrackTik side. At the very end, we'll cover some applications and talk about some of the impact that it's going to have for you guys. And then we will open it up to some Q&A and any discussion. So with that, quick intros. Just a little context for my background. I'll be speaking to a little bit of my past experience today. Before I came to Immix, I was actually an Immix customer at Securitas, responsible for managing their remote guarding. So I've had some firsthand experience with both Immix and TrackTik. We also have Jason Caldwell on the call. He is the Director of Sales for Immix Guard Force, and funny story, Jason was actually my account director before I joined the Immix team, so I was his customer directly. From the TrackForce team, I'm pleased to introduce James Benham. He is the Chief Strategy and Growth Officer at TrackForce. James has really been crucial to the vision of the integration, really from the inception through development, and now as we're able to take this solution and bring it to market. And last but not least, of course, is Moody Taylor Klein. So he is the Senior Solutions Architect at TrackForce, and he's been really a wealth of knowledge on their platform and has a lot of experience with their customers and working with these types of solutions. He has also been hands-on in the validation process and with some of our customers who have participated in user testing. So he understands exactly how it works in and out those workflows that we talked about. So with that, it does look like we have a mix of both customers and non-customers in the audience. So I'll be brief, but I do want to shed a little bit of light on what Immix is and what we do. So for anybody new to Immix, we are a software platform. We're built specifically for central stations and organizations that are looking to offer professional monitoring services. So that could mean alarm monitoring, video verification, and then of course, more complex interactive remote guarding or even tailored solutions like a remote SOC as a service kind of solution. So at its core, Immix is designed to bring everything together into a single unified interface. That single pane of glass, if you will, where operators are able to manage anything that has a security or a safety component to it. And that consistency, of course, makes life a lot easier for operators, and it makes life a lot easier for anybody else who might be interacting with your monitoring services, which of course helps with training costs, reducing any of those kinds of management resources, and of course improving your overall operational efficiency. We do integrate with more than 500 different security products, which gives you the freedom to work with the technologies that you prefer. So we don't require any proprietary hardware. And while our foundation has traditionally been in video, we certainly extend well beyond that. So we connect with access control systems, alarm receivers, lone worker solutions, AI, of course, which has become a very large, automation tools, automation platforms, and then higher level situational awareness platforms, which is more aligned with what we're going to be talking about today. So looking at kind of why we designed this and why we built this, we often hear the same kind of story. Disjointed communication between a monitoring center and the teams that are being dispatched and reporting that might live in multiple different systems, a bit of blurriness in the line over who manages which part of an incident. And these things, of course, can create delays in getting the right people to the right place when it matters. And unfortunately, these can sometimes have very monumental impacts. So both the teams that are participating in the management of the event, your operators, your people that are being dispatched, as well as the stakeholders that are going to be reviewing the incident after the fact, your customers, your supervisors, yourselves, your management teams, they lose visibility and insight to the full picture of what is taking place. They're having to search in multiple platforms to really see what happened and how it was managed, and look at the metrics of that to be able to deliver, what was my ROI, and is my monitoring center and is my SOC delivering the ROI that I'm looking for. So what we're hoping to achieve with this integration is bridging these two teams to help solve these kinds of issues. Looking at kind of the way that the landscape of security has changed, we don't want this to just be limited for guarding customers. We don't want it to just be limited for monitoring centers. It really, with the way that there has been a bit of a fundamental shift in how security services have been delivered, and that continued acceleration that I think we're going to see. I think this becomes very relevant to all kinds of different customers who fit these different profiles. So, traditionally security was built on that physical presence, having a guard on site, doing manual patrols, human observation at its foundation. And those services remain essential, but because the economics are changing, because labor costs are increasing, turnover is high, and margins, of course, are very tight, it's important to find where you can create those different resource efficiencies. And of course, at the same time, customers are demanding more and more. So they want more visibility, they want more accountability, and they want more data. They want more measurable outcomes that you're able to show to them. And so to meet those expectations, technology has really become a core part of the modern security delivery, if you will. And monitoring centers have evolved into more of this elevated security operations center, more of your elevated SOC. And so they're not just managing alarms, they're managing video analytics, they're managing things delivered through AI, access control alarms, alarms from IoT kinds of devices and sensors. And they're taking part in that, participating in dispatching of mobile patrol and using that data to their advantage. And I think this shift really means that security organizations are no longer just working with people, they're really working more with a lot of that data and what you can do with it. So we're seeing the lines between traditional guarding and remote monitoring blurred a little bit more. I think a customer who maybe once contracted for on-site guards, they're expecting that mix of video verification, of mobile patrols, of on-site guarding, and they want things incorporated like technology, like AI, like analytics, and they want it under one contract. And so that really requires this unified workflow between those various teams so that all of these different things can tie together. So that's, really what we're looking to achieve here. And with that, I think we have our first poll that we'd like to get some participation from you guys. So get everybody to wake up a little bit. So we'd like to understand better how you guys are currently coordinating between your monitoring center and your field teams. Field teams meaning dispatch, meaning could be maintenance, could be service technicians and things of that nature. And we'll give it a minute to level out. Right now it looks like a mix of separate platforms with a bit of a manual nature to it, or email, phone, text. And it may have been a little facetious of us to say that there wasn't any coordination directly and offer that as an answer. It looks like those have leveled out. We can go ahead and wrap that up. Okay. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to James.
Great. Thanks, Erin. Hopefully everybody can hear me. So James Benham from TrackForce. So just go through a very quick background on TrackForce as an organization. So we sort of came together, really grew up in the contract security world, working with guarding companies globally. We really merged two large companies together, TrackTik and TrackForce Valiant, back in 2022. And through that, we've really been kind of growing our capabilities around guarding and helping our guarding customers deliver the value that they deliver to their clients, which is at the end of the day, safety. What we saw though in the market was really this, as Erin alluded to, this convergence of kind of traditional remote monitoring and guarding. And really the demand in the market is really being pulled from clients where they really kind of need to go beyond, calling police or, talk downs. It's really getting to like that last mile response. And that's really kind of the genesis of this relationship. And how do we bring these platforms together to connect the workflows? So that's kind of why we do it, right? It's in the spirit of addressing all the demand that all of you on this call are seeing from your clients. But we do it through technology, and we're leveraging APIs to obviously drive these integrations quickly. That's why we're able to kind of so quickly come to market with an integrated workflow. But at the end of the day, you really don't want sort of what we call swivel chair economics, where you're capturing data in one system and then typing it into another system. We really want to kind of integrate those workflows so you can actually respond much faster. So if you look at sort of the scale of the platform that we offer today, really across 4,600 clients globally, driving uptime, high reliability, and 56 different languages and 50 countries around the world. So broad footprint, serving kind of the demand I just talked about. So if we go to the next slide, really just a view on the platform itself. So as Erin alluded to, TrackTik is really good at reporting and the reporting infrastructure, but it wasn't good at connecting upstream to what's happening in the SOC. So we're doing a lot of work now in last mile response, dispatching to officers in the field. We know where they are, their geolocation, whether they're on mobile patrol, whether they're on site. Immix is plugged into the access control, alarms, and camera environments. So how do we bring those two worlds together to better integrate and drive faster response times? And all of that gets pulled through into the TrackTik reporting infrastructure around incidents and incident reporting. Okay. So when we look at the benefits, right? So really, why did we do this? And so you look at it from an operational perspective, it's really how do you bring reporting and dispatch together to really, as I said, reduce those response times, remove the swivel chair economics out of the workflow. So it's really streamlining dispatching and just reporting. So you may not dispatch every event, but from a remote monitoring perspective, you may want to report on some of those things that go to your client, and creating that kind of single pane of glass that Immix brings to the market. And then from a business perspective, it's really around how do you deliver standardized SOPs, how do guarding companies that are kind of moving into remote guarding manage compliance, right? And those SOPs that come within the Immix platform, the auditability of those elements as well, and just driving a much more consistent user experience for folks who are using the operators and the dispatchers who are using both of the platforms. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Aaron to kind of finish off on the benefits.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did want to dive a little bit deeper into one of the benefits. Certainly one that we all care a lot about is going to be cost savings and the ROI that the integrations would be able to offer. In order to do that, we want to be able to evaluate kind of that human cost of what it would take to manually dispatch, manually report. So every day we do have operators and we have field teams that are spending hours that are, re-entering data. They're having to cross-check details between different systems and follow up manually. And that can consume anywhere from, 20 to 30% of time on kind of that duplicated entry. And those aren't small inefficiencies. They really add up to some real financial and operational costs and risks, of course. So when that event data doesn't flow automatically, you lose time, you lose accuracy, you lose insight. And from the financial standpoint, these do translate directly to more of this wasted resource. And that time that those operators are spending, that your field teams might be spending, that could be spent resolving incidents. It could be spent managing higher value tasks. And without And so looking at the operational side of this, when that information isn't moving more seamlessly, you have slower response time. And those minutes do add up, especially for a verified event, for life safety kinds of situations, those minutes matter a lot. You also end up with resource misallocation. And so operators might not know which guard is going to be closest or is available. And so multiple people could be sent, or they might be sent, or sorry, the wrong one might be sent to that specific event. And because there is so much manual entry, you're inevitably going to have errors. I mean, the human error is just going to be kind of the nature of this. And so you might miss details, you might have incomplete information or timestamps that are incorrect. And so once that happens, it's really difficult to get that audit trail right. And when you zoom out, you're really looking at a degradation of trust to your customer. Because that information could be incorrect, because that cost is a lot higher than it necessarily needs to be. So it's not really just human cost, it's not just efficiency, but I think it's lost transparency, lost trust, and of course that all adds up to lost opportunity. So, question of how does it work? Our goal is to really look at the integration itself. Let's take a look at how it works in practice. Everything starts in Immix. An event such as an alarm, an analytic from a camera, access control event, scheduled patrol, that comes in and is reviewed and started processing by the operator. When the operator determines that a response is needed, they can create a dispatch directly within Immix into TrackTik. So instead of having to call, instead of having to email or manually enter data into TrackTik, the integration automatically pushes those relevant event details based on what you may have pre-configured, as well as based on what they're selecting, into that system and into that report and into that dispatch. They're also able to include attached images. So there's some really cool features there that we'll cover. On the TrackTik side, the assigned guard or the responder, they're going to receive that event and they're going to be able to pick that up, be assigned that. They're able to see the event details, review that data that the operator input, review those images, and then they're able to acknowledge that and continue that report all the way through based on the requirements that were set within, the report template itself. So as they respond and they're adding that up, they don't have to call into the monitoring center and get those updates. And as soon as the responder is entering that information, the operator in Immix, it is synchronized. So they're able to see what's taking place. They can see those updates in real time. They can see if that dispatch has been picked up, if it's been completed, and they're able to review that information. They also have visibility to past incidents and past reports. So that helps to provide valuable context for the operator as they're managing some of these things. The operator also is able to go back and append the report with additional information and data from the current event. I think this is incredibly valuable and something that I do want to highlight, because it finally allows you to stitch together a full incident, which might take place across multiple Immix events. And, what do I mean by this? Reports can have information that's contributed from multiple Immix events, and it might not be something that's resolved immediately. There could be several events from the monitoring center that's associated with that overall incident. And the capability of this integration removes the limitation of having that kind of one-to-one original limitation. So something that's pretty cool here. And then kind of carrying this down, once that incident is completed, all of that information is available within TrackTik. You've got the full picture of what took place. You have all of the audit data available. It's also accessible from Immix, like I was saying. So, you're really not losing anything. You're gaining additional insight. And then from the client perspective, they have a full picture of all the services, any of the integrated billing, anything that was already taking place in TrackTik in terms of like their contract management. All of that becomes that single pane of glass with additional insight from TrackTik's data lab that's available to them. So that's kind of in a high level, the workflow. Jason and Moody are certainly going to dive into this a lot further. But before they do, we've got one more poll question for you guys. Perfect. So we'd like to understand, which of these areas that we've touched on that you feel you would benefit most from a tighter integration like this, kind of understanding what this workflow now looks like. Okay, people are very excited about the reporting so far. Evening out. Shockingly, nobody's, okay. There might be somebody who's excited about the billing. Give that another second or two. Dispatch and field coordination is taking the lead. All right, we can go ahead and wrap that. Perfect. All right, I am going to pass this over to Jason. And Jason is going to take over.
Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me, and hopefully everybody can see my screen. I know we do have many Immix customers on the line, so you're familiar with what you're seeing, but I know that we have some that are not Immix users on the line.
Jason,
so what
we can hear you, but we can't see your screen.
You cannot see my screen. I apologize, we're experiencing technical difficulties with the video. Hold on.
It wouldn't be a webinar without a technical difficulty.
So let's just try this again. Share screen. How about now?
We got it now. Thank you.
You got it? Okay. All right, good. Okay, so as I was saying, we do have several Immix customers on the call who are going to be familiar with this interface. And we have several that are on the call that are not Immix users. So I'm not going to go into a deep dive on Immix because we really don't have the time, but I will cover the most important features and functionality as it relates to this integration with TrackTik. So what you're viewing here is the Immix alarms page. So you'll notice this is browser-based, so Immix is essentially a SaaS solution, only we don't actually host the solution. The customers host their own Immix infrastructure, whether it's completely virtually hosted in a data center or whether it is actually hosted on physical servers at their location. But it is accessible via a unique browser interface for each customer. The Immix logo, mission critical, that's all completely customizable. So whatever the user is can have whatever logo and nomenclature that they wish to have up there. We are using right here our dark theme, which is a black and gray background. We also have a light theme, which is a white and gray background. We've found that in most SOC and central stations environments, they often tend to be dark rooms, and that light theme can be a little straining on the eyes of the operator. So we give you the ability to very easily change from a light or dark theme, just depending on what works best for your environment or your personal preferences. So we have a few different queues here. So we have our alarms queue. So this is where alarms will populate. So alarms are triggered by the devices at the client site. So you see I have an alarm in there that's telling me a person seen. That's probably the most common alarm that we get. Probably 75 to 80% of our customers, their core business is using the video system as that intrusion system. So it's a lot of outdoor environments, for example, that are protected by little more than a fence, oftentimes not even that. So they're utilizing smart video technology, so video analytics or video AI technology to detect specific objects or patterns of movement or behaviors that are going to create an alarm and bring it into the alarms queue. We also have a patrols queue down here in the center. So patrols are typically scheduled, whether it's every hour, 4 times a night, once a day, a patrol will populate. And instead of a physical guard walking the site or patrolling the site in the vehicle, you're going to have a SOC operator who's going to view either all the cameras or certain series of cameras per tour and look for specific activity or compliance and quality assurance issues, like are the gates closed and locked? Are there any illegally parked vehicles? Are there any hazardous materials that are not properly stored? A lot you can do with patrols beyond just a physical security threat. And then finally at the bottom, it just tells you processing events, just any active event that's currently being handled by an operator, and what the site is, what the event type is, and who that operator that's managing that event. To process an alarm, you can either come over here and click process alarm. which will automatically take the alarm at the top of the queue if you have multiple alarms in the queue. If you don't want to take the alarm at the top of the queue for whatever reason, if there were multiple alarms in here, you can simply click on the alarm you want to take first and open up that alarm. So we'll go ahead and open up this alarm. And this pulls open what we call the Immix Site Monitor interface. So again, still obviously browser-based, but a totally different page. But what's most important to note about this page is that no matter what the technology is in the field at the site, no matter what type of camera system, VMS, NVR, access control system, alarm system, any audio peripherals or relay peripherals they may have, it doesn't matter. This is the only interface that those operators are going to have to learn. So they're not going to have to learn a Genetec interface, a Milestone, a Linnell, an AMAG, a Secure, a Hikvision, an Avigilon. Everything is going to appear to them in this exact interface, giving them the confidence and clarity of knowing where to navigate, where to type, and where to click to process their response. So just to quickly kind of give you a brief overview of this page, obviously it's dominated by two video images. So the image on the left is what we call the audit footage. This is the typically about a 10 to 15 second pre and post alarm clip of the event that triggered the alarm. And you see the red boxes appearing around the man as he walks out the door. Those red boxes are video analytics positively identifying human activity. The image on the right is a live shot into that same camera. And yes, it is the same recorded video on both sides. This is all just canned recorded footage in my demo here. Either one of these images can be blown up into its own window. So if you wanted to get a larger look, the audit side has the ability to, there's a little down here in the lower left-hand corner, if you wanted to take a snapshot of the individual to send to a responding officer. You can also download the full video clip if you wanted to send that to somebody via email, for example. On the right side, you can also blow this up. You do have the ability to take a snapshot, not download the clip though, because it's not a recorded clip, it's live footage, but it does give you some varifocal capability to be able to, you know, pan around if you wanted to maybe zoom in, get a better look at what I'm trying to discern, what the man's carrying perhaps, so that I can pass additional information off to a responding officer to, you know, create a safer response and hopefully a better security outcome. In the center, these are all different devices that I can connect to. So I can connect to any individual camera by simply clicking on the camera name, and it will take me to that particular camera view. If I've got audio devices that I want to engage, such as intercoms or loudspeakers, I can do that via simple mouse clicks. Relays to do things like open doors or turn on lights or maybe sound a siren or something like that. Simple mouse click to be able to do that. You can also pre-configure tours of groups of cameras. So if you quickly wanted to cycle through your internal cameras, then you would be able to do that simply by clicking on a specific tour, and it'll start cycling through those cameras. We also give you the ability to view multiple cameras at once. So obviously, you know, looking at one camera at a time may not be the best way to respond to a specific event, particularly for a site that's got many cameras. So you can configure different multi-views. You can choose the number of cameras, the order that they're in, and within any multi-view, you do have that sort of that PTZ functionality, as well as the ability to take a snapshot, send it to a video wall, a lot of different functionality you have in any live view in Immix. Now you'll notice that the one button up here, the close event, I can't close this event out. Why is that? It's because I have a specific script that I have to follow in response to this event. So if you want to eliminate a lot of gray areas, a lot of guesswork, a lot of human error, you can create scripts which are specific actions that an operator must perform in response to an event. And so as you create the script, you'll notice it's going to work its way from the bottom up. So it's telling me to view a specific camera. So it's telling me to view, the first script step was viewing camera one, the outside analytics. Well, that camera automatically populated because it's the one that went into alarm. That's why there's a green check mark next to that script step. It was already completed. So it's asking me the next step is to view a different camera. So I'll just simply click on the script step to pull that camera up. It's asking me yet to view another camera. Now it's asking me a yes/no question. Is there an intruder seen? So we're starting to create some if-then scenarios. And based on your selection, we'll determine what the next step in the script is. So if I click yes, it gives me a name, a couple of phone numbers to call. Let's say I don't get an answer. It gives me a second name and a couple of phone numbers to call until I reach somebody and get further instructions of how to escalate this event. We want you to dispatch a guard. Okay, great. Now, how am I going to dispatch a guard? Well, I'm going to go to my extensions tab here, and I'm going to pull up the TrackTik integration. Now, you'll notice that it's down here at the bottom half of the page. But what we can do is maximize this to give you a full screen view of it, because it can be a lot of information that you might be needing to enter here. So we know we want to create a dispatch. So I'm going to go to my dispatch tab. And from right here, I can select create dispatch. And I can give it a task type. So we'll say this is a remote call out. And I can give instructions, we'll say suspect in front lot carrying black bag. Immix audit data. This is something I'm going to include, and I'm going to include that later. If we wanted to indicate if police and fire have already arrived. These are some optional report fields. So if you wanted to put a URL in Immix, it's going to automatically port a URL over to the event. So you do not need to include a URL for any Immix data. It's going to automatically be included in the report. But if you were maybe monitoring from a native client interface and you wanted to pull some video from there, you would have to cut and paste a URL to there. But we'll just call this NA. You don't have to actually put that in. It's an optional field. You could type in any type of narrative you want. So we'll just put, test narrative. Sorry, I'm a chicken pecker typer. Go to the next step. Now it's basically giving me an overview of what I'm submitting for a dispatch. Okay, so now I'm going to create this dispatch. It's asking me, are you sure? Now, the dispatch has been successfully created, but there's additional information I want to include, such as the Immix audit data. So I'm going to review this report so I can amend this report. So I want to do things like I want to add the Immix audit data. And I want to do, audit data, all event types, select all. I'm going to append to the report with that audit data. As I scroll down here, it gives me some additional fields that I can include if I want. Also, I can take snapshots. So let's say I wanted to take a snapshot from the audit player. Remember, the audit player is the recorded clip of the event that triggered the alarm. I can take a snapshot from the audit player and click continue. And then maybe I want to take a live view snapshot here. And we want to do that from the live field. And you'll see that's a different image that uploaded there. If I needed to take another field, if I wanted to go unminimize this, say, and I want to select a different camera, and then I can come back in, we'll maximize again, and I want to take a snapshot here now from the live video, and I can include that, okay? Now I need to come in and save my changes if I want all that to be included in the report. So I'm going to save those changes, and yes. Now I can simply go back. I'll minimize. Now I'm back in Immix. So I still haven't closed the event out in Immix. Now, just to give you a quick example, if I go here to current events, this is the audit data that I'm talking about. This is what we have included in the report. Now we can select different pieces of this or the entire audit data. I went ahead and selected everything, but what this is going to do is it's going to port over all this information, everything that was done, included all the different multimedia, and you can review it. If I click on the red camera on the left, you'll see the recorded image in the top left is different. If I scroll down and wanted to see, for example, what did the operator see when they viewed this camera, all that's what's going to be included. So I'm going to go ahead and close the event out in Immix. We'll say security dispatched. I can type in whatever outcome notes I want, up to 5,000 characters. I won't bother with that for the sake of time. Okay, now that event's closed in Immix. However, it is over here in TrackTik. So if you come over to your TrackTik portal, you can come here and you can review your operations reports, or you can review your dispatches. So we did a dispatch here. This is a new dispatch. I want to view the details of it. And here it is, a remote call out. suspect in lot, carrying black bag. From here, I can add, if I want to build, I can add any additional comments, add notes. Here is the audit trail. Here are the snapshots that I included. And from here, I can accept. And now it shows that it has been accepted. So that means the dispatch is underway. If I wanted to review a specific operation report, so maybe I wanted to come here, review a past report, I can do something like that. I can also add notes. I can edit the report from here. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. Oh boy, let's just try this again here. And I apologize, that's user error. And here we go. An example of another report. And this is from the one that we recently did. But just to give an example of just a report with more detail, audit trail, 4 different images. It can be edited from here. It can be added. So just if you needed to just get an example for, because from Immix, you can, if you just need to create a report, you can just create a report. If you're not creating a dispatch, maybe to use Aaron's example, maybe there were several different events that happened throughout the course of a 24-hour period, and we want to go in and create a report based on those events, based on that 24-hour period. You can do that as well. So with that being said, that's really the end of the Immix portion of the demo. So I will stop sharing and allow Moody to take over and show a little more detail from the TrackTik side of things.
Thank you, Jason. And Moody, I've just promoted you to presenter, so whenever you are ready.
Great. I will just be one quick second. Everyone can hear me okay?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Perfect. That's great.
And I will say there's so much in this integration. It's hard to cover everything in every scenario, but that at least gives you kind of the basic.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jason. Yeah, perfect. Thanks a lot, Jason. So just a couple of small things just to highlight for this brand spanking new partnership with Immix is that we also decided to give an update to our actual dispatching service with the launch of Command Center. So what that means, practically speaking, is that we now have a new interface to improve on the experience of when you're dispatching. So as you can see where Jason had started his actual dispatching, it's now fully integrated into our new Command Center, which gives you a single view of all activities and alarms in one single area. One of the reasons why we took this leap and step is we wanted to improve on the dispatching and global awareness with a lot of remote guarding, where you're not just obviously dispatching, you're also monitoring other connections and other sensors. So this is one of the major improvements, but still has the same functionality, where you'll be able to see those reports that have been completed, as well as all the irregular images and details. One of the advantages of this new view is that it does provide a more seamless integration with other systems such as Immix to give a more full experience for all team and users that are working in this arena for monitoring. Now, if we go back to the actual portal of TrackTik, where you'll see a lot of the metadata that goes around the actual alarm, you'll still have the activity feeds, which will detail out for other individuals monitoring or managing people and assets in terms of what's been happening from an activity standpoint. From the profile for one of your customers, they're now going to have an integrated system where not only the reports that are being filled out from a dispatching side, but they'll also still be able to see all the regular details from any of the guarding operations. That may include your patrol and checkpoints. That may also include any other incident analytics that are being captured by the officers in the service of their regular duty. So one of the main advantages of having our high functioning report capability is you no longer have 2 disparate reporting elements going to a customer. A customer will get one single type of reporting to improve on their experience of some of the activities and some of the areas of responsibility. It doesn't stop there though. So one of the other things that's really great about being able to capture Immix activity within TrackTik is that now when you do have our client portal enabled, you'll be able to also give your clients an integrated view from all of their operations for all the reports that have been completed at different locations, so that they're able to log in and see the trends and analytics that are related to all of the callouts and activities that have been happening in the system. So we're taking some of the power that TrackTik has to track and monitor incidents along all of the activities that an officer or cameras now are carrying out. And this improvement gives everyone a greater flexibility to provide a higher level of service for many different types of clients. Lastly, just to kind of highlight from the activities that Jason carried out, within the reporting capability, we still have other options in terms of what type of data can be brought in. While Jason gave the full library of information, you can curate that all from the Immix side and have it flow through into the system. Along the way as well, any of the status changes can be updated and sent over to the customer, so they'll be able to get a flow and actually see the value of all the information that's being captured during this event. Great. So I'll pass it back to you, Aaron, or I'll take any questions that anybody has about some of the other advantages. As you said, there's a lot to talk about. So
No, this is great. Thank you. All right. We do have another poll question for you guys. And I think that will be the last one. So we want to understand kind of these benefits that we're talking about, which of them is maybe going to be the most valuable for your customers specifically. Looks like a pretty even spread thus far. Well, everybody is really digging these reports. Seems to be the big winner so far. Give that just one more minute to even out, and then we can go ahead and close that. All right, so we'll wrap this up here kind of quickly. Do want to jump into just a couple of applications. But briefly, just looking at kind of validating some of the use of the integration thus far. We do have one of our early adopters, Olivier, who's been participating in some of the beta testing. They've already implemented the integration at a couple of sites, and their president, Lewis, has shared some insights into how it's benefited them so far, and he's got some ideas on how he plans to use it in some other scenarios. So, I certainly won't read this for you guys, but I think in terms of reducing response times, improving the accuracy of their reports, and just generally having better transparency to their clients, especially where they have those blended service kinds of solutions with both remote and manned environments, I think that's really where he's seeing some of the demonstrated value. And of course, you've got the faster decision making that I think is really helpful in terms of when you put yourself in that operator seat. So talking about some of the applications, we've focused a lot on guarding today. That's the low-hanging fruit here. There's tons of great applications to use this for guarding, for dispatch, for kind of filling in any of the service gaps that your customers might have been seeing previously when looking at kind of the comprehensive suite of services that you're providing to them, and maybe having a bit of that missing when it comes to your video monitoring and your SOC operations. But the integration does go beyond that. So monitoring services could use it to dispatch other kinds of teams, service technicians, maintenance teams, and of course, third-party responders. And then for enterprise SOCs, for multi-site kinds of organizations, being able to kind of unify this workflow across those different service types and deliver that visibility, I think that's going to be really useful to making sure that you do have more of that streamlined picture of the service. The compliance and the reporting, I mean, I've talked about it in some of the polls and the results that we've seen from you guys specifically, but I think that's going to be a huge benefit and a huge application in terms of any of these various types of verticals that you could see this in. I do want to be able to make sure that we've got some time for Q&A, which is why I'm kind of going through this fairly quickly. But James, Jason, Moody, anything you guys wanted to touch on here before we do open it up to Q&A?
I think just
Sorry, go ahead.
On the maintenance and dispatch, like scheduling of those services. So those are all things that can be, performed on the TrackTik platform as well if you're using the time and labor management scheduling solution. So if you want to schedule maintenance or dispatch to maintenance, all of those things can be integrated into the workflow.
That is a great point. All right.
Yeah,
so,
and just on that point, Aaron, to add that's a really additional, great stickiness tool that the solution provides for customers, because often it's going to be the personnel at the SOC that are going to know if there's a problem with a particular device or something at the site level before the client would. And so being able to be proactive about that and saying, hey, we've noticed, you have a camera down, or you have an alarm point that's gone into runaway mode, or a door reader that's not logging badged events properly, or something like that. And you can get proactive about that and get that taken care of before there's an actual threat. That can be of tremendous value for your clients.
Absolutely. We do have some questions in here, but it looks like, again, time-wise, James and/or Moody, do you guys mind touching on just a little bit of how you guys manage some of like the third-party dispatch, third-party organization management?
Yeah, for sure. I can fill that one. So generally speaking, we do have within our command and dispatching services a feature known as vendor management, where it gives you the flexibility to actually send out to a third party to do response. One of the advantages we've seen from having this built into the system is that it does give a lot of flexibility for those that both have both sides of the rails, where they're monitoring and they have their own team, so they can provide ancillary services to other security companies. So by having vendors within our system, they're able to define which types of properties are covered by other security companies. So that's a feature that's native to the dispatching and command center services.
Awesome. I appreciate it. So a couple of questions that we've gotten thus far. Is the integration available to just Immix GuardForce, or is it available in both Immix platforms, Central Station as well? It is available in both. Does the TrackTik response get pushed back into Immix for post-alarm auditing?
Yes.
So right now, it's not taking the place of, let's say, the event outcome, but you do have access to that audit information. So that is certainly available within Immix to be able to have some of that available. Go ahead, Moody.
Yeah, and just to sort of detail that a little further, is that the dispatch is actually parallel between both systems. So so a monitoring personnel or an operator can actually follow the workflow, which is already predefined in TrackTik within Immix. So just to understand that you're not necessarily needing to, with those different steps that Jason went through, only do them in TrackTik. They can be done in both systems, and they're actually being mirrored. That goes as well with the report forms. So any edits that you make to the report form within Immix, update within TrackTik, and vice versa. So really, the operator has some level of flexibility to be able to go through the stages of the workflows that were defined within TrackTik.
Perfect. No, thank you for that. We have a question in terms of kind of the integration and how it works in Immix. I'm going to move this just so it's not distracting. So in terms of how it's added, it is enabled on a particular site. It does carry a certain number of credits on a monthly basis. So that's, again, something if you are looking to enable it, just reach out to your Immix sales director. They can get the ball rolling for you there on getting that enabled. But again, think of it like some of our other dispatch integrations or communication integrations where it is enabled on the site itself. It doesn't have to be enabled across every single site. So there might be some where it's not applicable, where you don't have somebody to dispatch or there's not a reporting communication need. So it is something that is more site specific and carries those costs. Let's see. I think that one we did cover. Does it get pushed back in? And then will the entire recording from this session be available? Yes, we will make sure that this is sent back out. So you guys should get an email, right, I think tomorrow, with the recorded session from today. We also are going to be doing another session of this next week. So please feel free if you weren't able to attend the entire session. If there's anything else you wanted us to touch on that we didn't get to today, feel free to send an email to either of these. Let us know so we can tailor it accordingly. We've got a little time, but we will have another session next week at the same time slot. And we will also be posting it on our YouTube. Any other questions? Anything else, Jason, that you see that I didn't get to?
No, we've got them all.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate your time, and thank you to the TrackForce team. Appreciate you guys joining and going through and sharing your wealth of knowledge with us.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, thanks.
Everyone, bye.